would like to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by the Dolphin Wars.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to King Dolphin TV, episode 188. Oh, wow, only 22 episodes away from the big 200. Wow. I am Raymond, the author of the Dolphin Wars book series and ruler of the best pod on YouTube. Tonight we have a treat. Besides being on a special day on Tuesday, we are pleased to have Erin Crenshaw. She is a flight attendant. As you know, I like to bring people who do interesting things besides creators, and I wanted to talk to her about the lifestyle of a flight attendant. Before we get going, as always, if you like what we're doing here at the pod, if you love our interviews and the fun we have here, please like and subscribe. Also, if you guys know anyone I should interview, please send me their names so I could reach out to them. The fall schedule is still trying to get completed here. How are you, Erin?
Good, thank you. I really, I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, good. Yeah, glad to have you.
Thank you for the invite.
Welcome aboard here, pun intended. Before we get
Hello.
Yeah, we got friendly people. Before we get started, I'll welcome the chat. Right now it's kind of lean, but I hope that people will start trickling in here. We have the first in, the last out, Legatus Legionii. How you doing, my friend? I'm glad you can make it on a Tuesday. My producer Sandra has an away mission, but she's at least said hello and love you, baby. And of course, the hardest working bear on the internet. Snortapupas! Bar.com. Alright, so, like I said, I hope other people will be coming in, and we will start with our interview. How it works, and these guys know it, is I'll ask you some ice-breaking questions so that people get to know you. And then once we get through the questions, then we allow the chat to ask questions.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Let's break some ice.
Yes, Lane. Guess Snort has not yet been feeding for his winter hibernation. And he says polar bears don't hibernate. Okay. All right. So Erin, now I will let the chat know that I've known Erin for a long time.
Very long time.
Very long time. Since 2000. Wow.
God, that was so long ago.
Yes, it was, but those were fun times.
They were fun.
So Erin, tell us a bit about yourself outside of being a flight attendant.
Well, I guess the icebreaker is I'm 46. I've been flying now since 1997. I flew for a charter when I was 19, and then in 2000, I came to a small regional airline based out of Cleveland, Ohio. where I met you.
Yeah.
And we had a short time together before that was disbanded. And then I had moved myself down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where I could continue the aviation thing for that small regional airline.
Mhm.
And then it wasn't until I was in my 40s where I finally decided to settle down and find a husband. And my husband had 2 kids. And I said, well, I got to raise 2 kids that I don't know. I might as well throw in one that I do know. So at 42, I had my first and last child.
Okay.
And we live over on the west coast of Florida now. And all is sunny and all is great.
Yeah. As long as the weather cooperates.
Exactly.
Yes.
In between hurricanes and floods and fires.
Yeah. And vipers?
And fires.
Oh, fires. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fires.
Yeah.
I got to cross the state to get to work. And I-75, I tell you, there's not a fire during the week. It's not during the week. But I have 3 beautiful kids, 15, 11, and 4 going on 40.
4 going on 40. Yeah, that sounds like my grandkids.
An old man in his little head.
All right. So, okay, you've been doing flight. You've been a flight attendant since you were 19.
19 years old.
19 years old. What made
Before
you
that,
want?
go ahead.
What made you want to be a flight attendant?
Well, before that, I was a manicurist, like a nail tech. I would do people's nails and feet and try and make people look pretty and stuff. And I said, well, this is not for me. And I said, to my boyfriend at the time, who we were 18 and 19, I said, I'd like to go to Hawaii. And he said, well, my sister is a flight attendant for Northwest. I think we could go on her buddy pass.
Ooh.
And I said, oh, okay. We hopped on a plane. I think it felt like that day on a buddy pass to Hawaii.
Nice.
And I said, well, shit, how can I keep this going? And then his sister had said to me, when you're older, you can become a flight attendant. And I said, well, why do I have to be older? Why can't I do it now? And she said, you have to be 21. And I said, well, shucks. I'll find a way. And I did. At 19, somebody signed me.
Nice.
So I just found that was going to be the best way to be able to see the world and have somebody pay for it.
Yeah. And then you, so you were 19.
And that was the first place, I think, Ray, I think that was the first place where my airline took me to, was back to Hawaii. So I did get my dream. I got to go back to Hawaii and see the beautiful country on my own fruition.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a treat.
Well, that's good.
Yes. And then, of course, the airline pays for your room and board, and then gives you a stipend. So it's like it was an all-expense-paid trip for me.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And hello, Scotty R37. Hello, Pudgy Hedgehog, and who waves as he descends from above with a little American flag parachute. Yes, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it, Pudgy. And hello, Anti-Derivative Jill. And hello, Agent Pepsi 1, whose husband is I think he's a freight dog.
Oh, we love those guys.
Yes, I think.
They don't have to deal with us.
Yeah. I think you can confirm an Agent Pepsi 1, but I think you did say he was freight. So, okay, so you've been since 19, so that's knocked off a couple of the questions. So, how How do you? Yes, he flies for FedEx.
Oh, he does. Oh, that's a great job. Good for her. She probably
So,
doesn't get to see him that often, but
yeah.
he doesn't have to put up with the flight attendants whining in the back, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Are we almost there yet? Are we almost there yet?
Yeah, we could be whiners. Please get these people off my plane. Get
I
them out
know.
of my cabin.
I sometimes wonder what the freight dogs say to each other in the cockpit too, though. Like when there's nobody else to talk to.
That's true. And hello, Antiderivative Jill. How are you doing? All right, so now you were actually in 2 airlines.
Yes.
But what is the process to become a flight attendant? And how long does it take?
Well, I mean, let's face it, times have changed, right? I mean, back when you and I were flight attendants in 1997 and pre 9/11, put it that way, pre everything for the airline industry is pre 9/11. So it took background checks and hundreds of interviews and checks and drug testing and just endless interviews and a lot of slaps in the face, like, no, you're not qualified, no, you're too short, no, you're too heavy, no, you're too thin. It was all negative stuff. They were never like, oh, you're perfect. You just kind of had to fit in. And now, if you're lucky, back then, if you were lucky enough to get hired, and lucky enough was the answer, because there was like a 1,000 people wanting that one job. Now it's completely different. They hire whoever, whatever, whenever. The selection process is completely different. And the requirements are completely different now. It's a little unfortunate, but there's not as much I don't really know what the word I'm looking for is, but it's not as hard to get the job anymore. It's just like walking into your local grocery store and applying for a job.
Wow.
The only thing that you have to do is pass a background check, a drug test, and be able to keep your job, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds not as glamorous. I really do think that pre 9/11, it was definitely a different job. Now it's not as glamorous. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
glamorous.
not as glamorous. Yeah.
Glamorous.
Yeah.
But I work in the training department now, so I'm trying to, after they get through training, trying to help them, guide them through their onboarding process and make sure that they do feel like it's a glamorous job still, because it's not just picking up trash and dealing with people that, aren't so nice anymore.
Yeah. Cobalt Bald Eagle. Hello, Cobalt says, well, it's a combat position now. You need body armor to fly.
That's exactly it. It is a combat position. I think we should get combat pay.
Oh, yeah. You guys should.
That is a great way to say it.
Yes.
It is. It's actually, we're probably jumping ahead in your questions, but
No.
It is actually a combat position. I can't stress that enough. It is like you're going to work and you don't know what's going to be handed to you today.
Yeah.
And that kind of a job is like that. That's why people like that kind of a job, because it's not the same thing every day. You don't sit there and do the same thing every day. You don't see the same people for the most part the same day. But the way the world is right now, it is absolutely combative.
Yeah. Now, I seem to remember when we took the training way back when, it was about a month.
Yeah, it ranges anywhere. Some airlines are 2 weeks, which is like the most minimum. 4 weeks. Well, that's when they were, trying to get, after 9/11, they were just getting you out, because they had to refill all this empty positions. But now my training is up to 4 weeks. I know some of the majors up 6-8 weeks, and they train on multiple different aircraft, which is to me, like, I think about it now and there's just no way I could go through another training process. I mean, multiple aircraft, I'm lucky that my airline just has a few, and it's easy to keep in check.
Yeah, we only had 2 airframes, which was hard enough.
Yeah, and the ones that we had were so old and decrepit that, I mean, they used to rain on the inside instead of the outside.
Yeah, true.
And you get cut walking through the tail end of the aircraft just trying to get, your evacuation started. But yeah, thankfully those are all gone now.
Oh, okay.
And we have Airbus, so all neat and tidy, and no more raining on the inside.
Okay. So about a month of training. And
it's about a month. And then you have to do, like, after that month of training, then I get a hold of them. And then we do 1 day of onboard training, which is called an operating experience. Some call it an IOE. Some people call it an OE. Some people call it Hell Day. Whatever you want to call it, it's just 1 day of, they actually physically never have seen the airplane in training before. So this is the 1 day where they actually get to touch the airplane and put all the things that they've learned into that month into 1 day, and it's pass or fail. So it's extremely stressful for those people.
Oh,
I mean, they never touch an airplane until that 1 day.
Wow.
So they learn about it, and don't touch it until that 1 day. It's crazy to think that somebody could do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that they would want, in between, they would at least let you go into the airplane on a flight and observe a cabin crew doing their job.
Now, they did start doing those, for the most part, they did start doing those observation flights where you could get on the airplane and watch, but then they, you have to hire a babysitter, which is another flight attendant, to, watch them so they could be, watched when they're watching.
Yeah, because they can't bother the regular crew.
Right, exactly. So I mean, it's cost prohibitive, I guess you could say. But
yeah,
it is funny though. I mean, my first airline before I met you, I remember doing the training, and it was so hard. It was so hard because I had no idea what they were talking about. I had never seen an airplane on the inside, being a flight attendant, of course. Mm-hmm. I never saw any of the little gizmos or toggles or anything, and they expect me to get 100% on a test.
Yeah,
they gotta be crazy.
And memorize everything.
And memorize it, and memorize the cities that they go to, and all this. There's so much that goes into that 4 weeks. And for somebody that has no knowledge about aviation, it is overwhelming. Mm-hmm. Overwhelming. But at the end, once they get to that OE and they graduate their OE or their IOE, it's like, oh, I did something. I accomplished something that was huge.
Yeah.
And then they should get their combat armor and their combat paycheck and be on their merry way.
Uh-huh. Hello, Matt G. How you doing? Mr. Raymond was a flight attendant. Does that mean he has a basement full of peanuts? Well, not anymore. It's been a long time ago.
I don't even remember what we gave away back then. I think they were like goldfish or something.
Yeah, they were goldfish. We did give away pretzels. Oh, and when we were flying into Vegas, we took the bagels.
Oh, those little bagels.
No, they got the big, decent-sized bagels. We put them in the...
Oh, I don't remember the bagel. Oh, I could use a bagel.
This was on the charter flights when we flew them into Vegas, and we packed up 2 luggage compartments full of bagels.
Oh, I do remember luggage compartments full of food. I can't remember why we had luggage compartments full of food, but
Yeah.
I do remember something about that. Could you see yourself still being a flight attendant?
I did a while back, but not anymore.
No, coffee,
Nah.
tea, me. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I actually did try and go back into it. Okay, so, you still have the little red book that is your Bible.
Our Bible, our manual, which is now not a little red book anymore. It's like a giant electronic book. We've gone electronic, so now we're on an iPad.
You're on an iPad. Okay, nice.
I know, big time, right?
Yeah, nice.
Remember, we charge for our snacks, we charge for our drinks, we charge for our bags, we charge.
Oh, because you got it. Okay, so you got to use the.
So we have access through our iPads or whatever those are.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
if you see it, we'll charge you for it.
Yeah, that's the joys of
the airline.
The cost-effective
Yeah.
airlines. So what all did you have to learn in the while you were going through training?
Well, obviously you have to learn the airplanes itself. So you have to learn what kind of equipment you have, first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Then you do a lot of safety training. That's where your combat training comes in. You get to play self-defense. You get to learn some strategic, moves, and we actually do a little boxing and a little self-defense, punching and kicking,
Mm-hmm.
and situational awareness is taught. Some common sense is taught, which is hard to teach somebody common sense, by the way.
Yeah.
We learn a lot of things about air and the way the airplanes work through the air and weather, which I think is fascinating. The weather. I love the weather. I think the weather is something that you could talk about all day. And the way the airplanes move through the air.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, if you think about how an airplane flies, it's magical. I mean, this big silver tube floating in the sky for endless hours.
Mm-hmm.
Running on 2 engines or 3 engines. It seems like it's impossible.
Yeah.
Every time I see an airplane take off or land, it gives me like flutters in my stomach.
Nice.
But you learn all those, you learn it all. And it's, like I said before, it's overwhelming, but it's something that you take on through the rest of your life, especially situational awareness and common sense things and the way things work mechanically.
Yeah.
I'm much more handy, actually, being a flight attendant than you would think.
Okay.
I carry a screwdriver in my bag now.
Nice. And of course, you have to know exactly where the emergency equipment is. Every single piece of that emergency equipment is ingrained in my brain, along with the safety demonstration. I think I do say it in my sleep. My husband would probably tell you. There are 2 exits located at the front, mid, and rear doors. Yeah.
And, that part about, put your oxygen mask on before, you assist others is a life lesson. It is a life lesson that should be all through everybody's life. You got to fix yourself before you help anybody else.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so what are the duties of a flight attendant? Now we see, when we're in the airplane, we only see you do the demonstrations, you do pass the drinks.
Yep. There's some things that you don't see, though,
and
which are the really interesting things.
okay.
So when you're coming on board the aircraft, I hope that you will always see your flight attendant standing there welcoming you aboard. We're not just welcoming I can't even say the word welcoming you aboard. We're scanning you. It's not a trade secret. I can tell you exactly what we're looking for. We're looking to make sure that you're sober enough to fly on our airplane, because it is illegal to be on an aircraft drunk. We're looking for suspicious behavior. We're looking for human trafficking. We're trained in human trafficking highly now. That's one of our biggest things in training. We're trying to make sure that everybody who is traveling with somebody is supposed to be traveling with that somebody. And sometimes it's not easy to tell. And sometimes we get it wrong and sometimes we get it right. But it is something that we are trained for now. So we're scanning for those things. We're also scanning for able-bodied assistance. So able-bodied people, meaning that if there was an emergency and we needed help, we would go to these people first. So we're looking for firemen, police officers, other pilots, other flight attendants, strong guys, strong women, people that aren't traveling with children, people that we know that would assist in the event of an emergency, any emergency, evacuations, fires, whatever, doesn't matter. We're looking for other suspicious behavior like drugs and alcohol, like I said before, but we're just constantly looking. Unfortunately, I guess you would say it's almost profiling, but we are looking. And so that hi, welcome aboard is our first interaction with you. So, at first glance, you have to make sure that, the airplane's going to be safe.
True.
So then, after we've welcomed you on board and we've scanned you and looked at you and made sure you weren't drunk and puking all over our plane, then we get you seated and we get all your bags stowed and we start doing some safety demonstrations. We're also looking to make sure that when you're in your seats, you're not whipping out your cigarettes and your vaping devices and holding them in your laps, because vaping devices are not allowed on board the aircraft at all.
And smoking is definitely verboten.
Oh, yeah. That vaping is terrible. Actually, the vaping devices have been known to cause battery fires on board the aircraft because it gets so hot. And their vaping devices are in their bags, and that has no circulation sometimes in their bags. So they do catch on fire quite often.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Fun fact.
Did not know.
Vaping devices catch fire quick on an airplane. So everybody gets their bags stowed and secured. We do our safety demonstration again, and then we make sure that all the kids are sitting in the right places. And we start pushing back from the aircraft. And then we sit in a jump seat and we strap in, and then we wait and we take off, and then we get up and we start our cabin service. And the cabin service for many different airlines consists of many different things. But my airline in particular, we don't do very much, which I'm grateful for. But it's just enough. So we do our cabin service, we clean up, and then we start the landing process. And we taxi to the gates. And as we're getting off the airplane, we're also doing another scan for people that may not be able to drive themselves home, who may have indulged a little too much on the airplane. Because one drink on the ground is equivalent to 2 in the air.
Yep.
So that one vodka that they had in the air is equivalent to 2 drinks.
Yep.
So it's highly intoxicating. And when they're coming out of altitude and down to the normal, sea level breathing, they're extremely drunk. So we're making sure everybody can drive themselves home. Nobody's pushing and shoving each other to get off the airplane. And then we say goodbye, and then we start all over again, and we do the same thing.
Okay.
Up to 3 times a day. My airline, we do, depending on where we're going, we could do it 3 times a day.
Wow.
It's a lot. I think boarding and deplaning, for me, is the worst. Because it's like 240 people on, 240 people off, 240 people on, 240 people off.
240
people. A little less than 240, but
Okay.
And it's a lot of people.
How many is your how many is in your cabin crew?
Well, it depends on the airplane size. So you need one flight attendant for every 50 seats.
Okay.
Not 50 people, but for 50 seats.
Okay.
So even if the seats are empty, you still need one cabin crew member. So my littlest airplane, we have 3 flight attendants. My middle size, we have 4, and the bigger one, we have 5.
Okay.
With the, I think on the bigger one, we can take an additional 6. So but we don't usually take an additional 6, but we do have people that like to jump seat or, ride on the airplane for free in that seat. So it's nice to have an extra seat.
Yeah. Okay. Now the so how okay, how does your pay go? You're obviously not I know, but for everybody else it's
Well, you'd be surprised, right?
Oh.
You think I get paid hourly, right? I do. I said, but the surprising part about it, and I'm sure everybody knows recently because it was just aired recently on the news, flight attendants do not get paid until the wheels of the aircraft start moving. So I will not get an hourly salary until everybody is seated and we start pushing back from the gate. My hourly pay then stops again when the aircraft wheels stop at the gate on the return. And the boarding door that you walk through closes and opens. That's when my pay starts and stops. It's awful. Nowadays, it's awful. That's the way it was for how many years, aviation's been in existence. Flight attendants would get paid for moving. So all that action that happens, what I just told you, like the scanning and the prepping and the planning and all that stuff, I basically do that for free. We get per diem, of course. You get whatever your per diem rate is, say $2.25 for every hour that you're away from your base. So if I leave Fort Lauderdale and return 24 hours later, you get 24 hours of per diem at $2.25. That's not very much. But, I think we're lobbying now for pay starting when you check in the morning to when you check out. Because all that boarding, that's where all those injuries happen. All the lifting, and, the little old lady that's got her grandchildren packed in her bag, and, she brought her entire house because she doesn't think she's ever returning. She wants me to lift it into the overhead.
Oh.
And I can't anymore. I'm just as frail as she is. I've got a terrible back and terrible body parts from flying all these years. And so we don't get paid for any of that. So, and like your blogger said, combat pay, you're right. All that stuff happens during boarding and deplaning. All the fights that break out, all the anger, that's all done without being paid.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think nowadays, since times have changed so much, that needs to change.
Yeah.
And I hope in the future it will. I hope in my future, not just the future. I don't know how much longer I can stick with it, so I'd like to see it change sooner than later.
Yeah. After you've done your initial training, is that it?
No. I go through a yearly check. So pilots go through a lot of training. When you think your pilot is not trained, you are completely wrong. Pilots are training every minute of the day, it feels like. They go every 6 months, every 3 months for other checks, and yearly for another check. We only have to go once a year, which I'm thankful for that too, because that's kind of time consuming. We sit there in a class for 1 day and we do, it's called a recurrent. So we just do like a a redo. We just, do a little touch up for our information. And it's like a refresher. That's the word I'm looking for, a refresher.
Mhm.
We do a refresher, and it really does help because a year is a long time. It's a long time. And our manual can change daily. The federal aviation regulation changes daily. And each airline has their own Fed, as we call it, that governs over the airline. So they tell us all the rules that need to be followed, and the manuals change. And then we have to be on top of that.
Okay. Now I know this was the biggest bane of my life when back in the day. How about scheduling?
I
How,
I hate to say it, but your scheduler is the worst enemy. It's horrible to say because they are some of the nicest people, but it's like we are mortal enemies. It's just I can't even tell you the animosity that goes between a scheduler and a flight attendant or a pilot.
Mhm.
They have such a hard job to get how many flight attendants and pilots in the same, or it place to place, and coordinating this airplane with this airplane, and this person has a time issue and this person got sick. And I mean, I don't envy their job oh, but I gotta tell you, they don't make it easy. But now it's all automated, right? I mean, it's like it's so much different. It's so much different. There's so much like you can do on a computer now that you don't really have to have that much interaction. And so we get a schedule, which is the best thing about being a flight attendant, the schedules, right? Because I've been at my airline now, I think going on 24 years, if I'm not mistaken. So I started in January of 2000. We're at 24. I'm in my
it'd be
24th year, something like that,
Yeah.
for pay
24.
purposes. So, I mean, the schedules are everything for a flight. That's why when you become a flight attendant, you'll never be anything else afterwards. I can have up to 25 days off a month, days off a month. And the rest of it, I still get my annual salary. So, I mean, I can pick and choose the trips that I want to be on. I can drop them to other flight attendants. I can put in for float days of vacation days. I can take off a day. I can drop a trip. It's amazing. The schedules are why flight attendants are flight attendants. It's the best. I mean, you don't have to go to work. I mean, if you don't want to, you could drop all your trips and stay home all month. You won't get paid, but it is allowable. Crazy, right?
Yeah. Or you can decide you want to get some reserve time.
Yeah, you can do. Oh, who wants to do that anymore? But those poor reserves, those are gluttons for punishment. I tell you, they get to sit at the company's whim. That's how you get your seniority. You have to come up from the reserve list. Some airlines you're on reserve forever. I mean, like, I'll throw out American or Delta or one of those companies. You could be there 24 years and still be on reserve because nobody leaves, and you're just on perpetual reserve, which means you're at the beck and call of your company. You have reserve periods where they can call you out all night long. I just feel sorry for those folks still. I'm so glad that I have seniority at my little airline and I don't sit reserve anymore, only if I wanted to. And I don't want to.
Okay. Now you went into some of the changes post 9/11. Were those all the changes that happened, pretty much?
No, I mean, we used to spend hours in the cockpit. We could go up into we still go up into the cockpit now because you have to have two, excuse me, I rubbed my nose. We have to have, people in the cockpit at all times. So if one comes out, there has to be more people, there has to be a flight attendant in there with the pilots. That's not a secret. We're protecting the cockpit. We're protecting you by protecting the cockpit. They've made, armor plated doors for the cockpit where it used to be a bifold door. Mm-hmm. Remember how flimsy it was? You could just whoop.
Yep.
Now it's armor plated and, fireproof. I mean, there's just so many changes in the cockpit. The fact that we have to have literal combat training and learn how to use tough cuffs and use those tough cutters and stuff like that. And we have to know when to use it. So a lot of things have changed since 9/11. And the fun of it, the fun of being a flight attendant is compromised after 9/11 too. We could spend a lot of time in the cockpit goofing around. The pilots could come out and goof around a little bit, but everything's very serious now. Everybody's always on guard. There's no playing.
Okay. I had a couple of burps on the StreamYard.
Oh, good. I thought it was me.
Can everybody?
I think you're frozen now.
Okay.
Hello there.
Yeah, I think I had a little bit of a burp on the. Had a little bit of a burp on the on my computer.
Oh no!
Yeah, but that's okay. iPads are wonderful things, as you know. So pretty much. Oh, and of course you've got like the armed pilots if they're in there. And
say that again.
You probably have the armed pilots.
Oh yes, absolutely. We're allowed to have armed pilots now. I think I should be armed. They say otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can only imagine if they armed the flight attendants.
Oof. Oh, that would be
There'd be a lot of shootings.
Yeah, that would not go well.
It would be a lot of shootings, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do have federal flight deck officers. They are highly trained, armed individuals. And I do appreciate when they're on board the aircraft.
Oh, okay.
They're not on every flight, though.
True.
And it's their choice if they want to carry or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it's kind of tough.
It is tough.
Being
It's-
armed in a
they
metal-
can't go into foreign countries armed.
That's true.
So if they have, their piece on them, they need to put it somewhere, in a secure location before they go into an international destination.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you have to retrieve it again. So it doesn't work for everybody. Those that are true and through, through and true are the ones that are going to carry. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask these last two, and then I'm going to open it up to the chat. Meanwhile, I'm going to see if my main computer is going to work for me. What are the things that you love the most about being a flight attendant?
Well, I think we might have mentioned the days off.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my obvious. I mean, that is the most amazing part, is being able to schedule my life around, actually schedule work around my life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that though when you first start out. So you actually have to earn that part. But even still, a brand new flight attendant who's on reserve, I mean, you can still, have a decent life and still be a flight attendant. The one thing that you have to have though is a partner, or if you want to be single too. I mean, you don't have to have a partner, but if you choose to have a partner, there can be no jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have to be completely aware that if you say you're coming home for dinner and you don't, that it's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the scheduling. That's like my best part. I like our benefits. We have great health benefits. And then, of course, our flying privileges. So I've been there so long now that I think if I retired, and retiring in the airline is different than retiring for real. But I could retire with full benefits, and not health benefits, but flying privileges. So I'm looking forward to that retirement where I can still use my flying privileges. But my family flies for free. I fly for free. If we wanted to go to Europe, I mean, it would be for pennies. I think those are my favorite things. And then I think my second favorite thing would be what I said earlier. It's just never the same thing twice. And incidents and accidents happen every day. I hope I'm never on one of them, but it is exciting, to say the least.
Okay. And then the other side of it, what do you hate about it?
It has gotten so violent. Just by telling somebody to put their bags underneath the seat is like starting a war. There's no respect. None. It's scary if you approach somebody, or if they're doing something that they're not supposed to be doing on the airplane and you have to ask them to stop. It's scary. Flight attendants have had their hair pulled. A flight attendant lost her eye recently.
Oh,
Somebody was stabbed. Somebody spit on, peed on, pooped on, puked on. I can just go on about that, but it is scary. It's very scary. If you're in the terminal and you have a delayed flight, I mean, I've been sweared at, told I was a piece of shit, and I'm not even the reason the airplane was delayed.
mm-hmm.
Things are thrown at you. And then when you tell them they can't get on the airplane because of their behavior, it gets even worse.
Yeah.
So that's my least favorite.
Okay.
It gives you more girls' nights out. Yeah, that's true. It sure does. I won't tell my husband, he's in the next room, but I really like to leave. I like to go on trips. I like to work, because having 3 kids, it's like a vacation. It's a mommy vacation. To go into a hotel where there's no husband snoring and no kids screaming at you, it's pleasant.
Okay. stand by. I'm going to stand by real quick.
Standing by.
All right.
Oh, that feels so long ago, that picture.
Okay, I'm back.
Yay!
Yes, and I think because of that, it's time for the Semper Gumby logo. So, okay. But all in all, you do like what you do.
I do.
Being a flight attendant.
Like I said, when I see an airplane, I get the flutter still. So I think when that goes away, that's when it'll be time for me to hang up my wings.
Okay. Have you thought about going into flight training? I mean,
yes. I would like to eventually stop flying and just work in the training department.
Uh-huh.
But I do commute to work over 2 hours. So
Oof.
that's a problem at the moment.
Yeah.
But if something were to change in the future, yes, I would like to find either within my company or another company a training. I have a lot of health issues lately, I think from flying, joints, stuff like that, back issues, hard landings, a lot of walking, hips and back and all that stuff. So I'd like to find something that wasn't so rough on me. But within aviation, because like I said, the smell of jet fuel gets me excited.
Nice. All right. I'm a pilot. I became a commercial pilot, and my missus is a flight instructor. So
Wow.
The bug never left.
Nope. It doesn't ever leave.
No.
And
All
then
right.
if you're not directly in it, you're in something else that's related to it.
Exactly. All right, so now we're going to open the questions to the chat. So chat, please start your questions. I'm going to look. I know I saw some other stuff. Agent Pepsi 1, as we said, her husband works for FedEx. Let's see. Here's a good one from Scotty R37. Does it frustrate that cabin crew are highly trained emergency care workers, but they may be treated as hospitality staff?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody thinks we're just a pop slinger or a soda slinger and a snack giver and a diaper changer, but we really are trained. I mean, some more than others. I'm a career flight attendant, so I take it seriously. We are trained in a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And we are treated, like he said, not just among, a little bit more than a server, and I understand, they don't understand what we really do.
Yeah.
But I think podcasts like this and other podcasts, talking about how we get paid, when we get paid, why we don't get paid, and what we do on the airplane are good, because maybe it would educate the less educated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Agent Pepsi 1 says, that is the same as my husband. He doesn't get paid until the hatch closes and hatch opens. All the preparation on the ground, the flight plans, he doesn't get paid for it.
It sucks. And that's where all the action is.
Yeah.
It's where everything happens. All that lifting and bending and carrying and shoving and denying and yesing, it all happens in the beginning parts. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that per diem really doesn't.
No, it's a joke.
Yeah. And actually.
And then the airport food, the airport food, because, we don't have any food, but the airport food, your per diem doesn't cover the $10, Burger King cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're eating on the road, you know, it's like you're eating garbage.
Uh-huh. You're eating what's left of the airline snacks and making that into.
Oh my God. I try and tell all the new kids, don't even start. Don't even open that snack cart. Start chewing your fingernails. Don't eat the snacks. You'll end up chubby.
Legatus Legionary asks, when it comes to flights and rowdy customers, don't air marshals help, or are they not on every flight? Is it random when they're on a flight?
Well, sometimes we know and sometimes we don't. It's their discretion whether they tell us or not. No, they will never get involved if there's a rowdy fight on board the aircraft. They will never identify themselves.
No.
Not for something like that.
No.
The only way they identify themselves is there's a breach of the cockpit. So if somebody's beating up the flight attendant, that's their choice if they want to get involved. But no, they will not get involved. It could be a ruse, you know. There could be a sleeper on board waiting for that air marshal to identify himself and then take out the rest of the airplane.
True.
So there's a lot of things you have to think about. Do you really want that air marshal to get involved in case there is a sleeper on board?
Yeah. That's true. It's a scary world.
It's a scary thought, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and of course,
that's why I
COVID
think it's
didn't
exciting.
help. And of course, the COVID didn't help matters any.
COVID was, for the airline, was just as bad, if not worse, than 9/11.
Yeah.
It made everybody a maniac, and absolutely everybody lost their minds. They just lost their minds. Mm-hmm. I don't understand if, you know, it was such a problem why people had to travel. Like, if you're going to cause such a big stink about wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, then walk or run or drive.
Or telework.
But why get on the car? Why get in an airplane and threaten my life over a mask?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was not for masks, you know, and I don't want to be told to wear a mask, but I had to tell people that they had to wear a mask, right?
Because it's the rules.
Because it was the rules. And did I take mine off every second that I could? I did. But I still had to tell them that they had to wear a mask. And it was like every time I did, I took my life into my own hands. It got so bad. It's unreal.
Yeah.
The world turned upside down and then the airplane turned upside down.
Yeah, I've seen those videos.
Over a mask.
Over a mask, yeah. Agent Pepsi says you're right. Stephen was in Memphis to do training there about 2 weeks ago.
Well, we're going into Memphis now too, and Memphis has gotten a little violent in that state or in that city right now. I mean, you can't we have some warnings that, you know, we go into Port-au-Prince, you know, Haiti, and their civil unrest now is jeopardizing the airports. I don't want to fly there, but we're still going in there.
Yeah.
Scary.
So, how many countries do you fly into?
Oh, we go all over, like Central America and South America. In South America, we do like Colombia, a lot of places in Colombia. Lima, Peru. We stopped going to Lima right now because of some issues with the government. I don't remember why exactly, but we stopped going there for a few months, but we'll end up going back to Lima, Peru. But that's really the farthest we go is Lima, Peru.
Okay.
Which is like a 6-hour nonstop. That's a long flight.
Yeah.
And we don't alternate cabin crew either. It's one cabin crew for the 6 hours. So nobody gets to rest. And you're not allowed to sleep. You're not even allowed to close one eye. You know, you got to sleep standing up with one eye open. hopefully nobody takes a picture of you, because that's something that the passengers like to do now, is take pictures of the flight attendants doing bad things
Ah.
so they can post it.
Yes, on social media.
Yes.
Agent Pepsi says, must be nice. My husband just gets told where to go and when. There's a little flexibility, but not much.
Yeah, those freight dogs. I tell ya. Hopefully she gets to see him, though, every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Come on, guys. With air rage on the rise, have you had to strap people down?
Not intentionally.
Okay.
I say that with a pun. There could be, somebody wanted to be strapped down, sure, after work.
Yeah.
But no, I have never, never, thankfully, knock on wood, please. That's actually one of my fears. I think I could handle like a landing gear collapse better than that. That's something that scares me. I don't like confrontation like that,
Yeah.
As you can see, when we're talking about it, I start shifting and getting nervous anyways. Just the thought of having to ask somebody or to think about Pennsylvania, how they had to take down those terrorists by themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had to take the initiative and jump on him or do whatever they did to them. And unfortunately, the plane did crash. But that scares me, the thought of that,
Mm-hmm.
How do you know, and you will know, but how do you know when it's time to do it?
True.
Are you making a mistake? Did you misread somebody's actions? I'm sure that I didn't, or I'm sure that I won't, but there's always going to be a question.
Yeah.
Did I do the right thing?
That's true. That is so true. Oh, let's see.
I do think sometimes that I would love to put some duct tape on some people's mouths, though. I really thought about it.
That would be good.
I have so thought about it.
This is why Sandra's so important. Yes, look at us. That burp there on StreamYards. Let's see. Do all...
Yes.
Yeah.
It's calmed down, though. Like, the 9/11 issues have gone away. Like, they're in place. You can't bring more than 3 ounces of anything through, TSA. That's all in place, and we're all kind of used to that now. But it's the COVID that has now taken over. Although COVID is pretty much over, you have people that are still nosy and wanting to butt into other people's businesses. So if you have somebody like me who has an asthma cough, like you have people calling you saying they're going to die because this person is coughing. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
You can't sneeze or cough around here without thinking you're going to, kill somebody on an airplane.
True.
So, yeah, the 9/11 stuff is still here. It's never going to go away. It changed aviation. It changed the world, but it changed the aviation the most.
Mm-hmm.
But COVID is still here.
Yeah.
And people are scared to be in a close quarter, or it's just an excuse for them to complain.
But
Either one.
But the thing is they're, if I remember right, the airplanes are so hermetically sealed. They're actually yeah. They're actually as well. I shouldn't say that. I thought they were as safe or disinfected as a hospital operating room, but
Let me ask you this. What do you think the dirtiest place on an aircraft is?
the lavatory.
You would think that, right?
Yeah.
But that actually gets cleaned. So I would say on a daily basis, yes, the lav is really the most disgusting place. Okay, there are two places that you probably would never think of. The window.
Yeah.
The window is so disgusting. Like you can't put your head on the window ever. Or your kids can't lick the window.
Ew.
And, your knobs where the air conditioning are.
Oh, yeah.
And the lights, they never get cleaned. Never. Ugh. So when you go and you're on the next airplane, wipe off your armrests, your window and the window shade, and your compartment, your passenger service unit above the seats where your lights are and your air conditioning knob. And use a paper towel to turn your air conditioning knob on. Those are the dirtiest places.
Wow.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Something you'd have never thought of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's been a long time ago. Agent Pepsi 1 says, exactly right. How many times have I expected my husband to come home and then he's delayed for 2 to 3 days even?
Yeah. I'm sorry. It really does. But you just have to be understanding. That's why I said you have to have somebody, be married to somebody or whoever, or not be married. But just, there can't be any jealousy. There can't be any, why aren't you coming home? That's why I think pilots and flight attendants always get together, because there's no question about when are you coming home and why aren't you coming home.
Yeah.
It's just easier to be with a pilot or a flight attendant.
Yeah.
That's why you see so many pilots and flight attendants get married, because it's easy. To this day, my husband, who I've been married to for 6 years, when I start talking airplane lingo, he has no idea what I'm saying sometimes. Or then he'll say, where are you going? And I'll be like, I'm going to such and such. Okay, when are you going to be home? I'm going, and it doesn't register.
Agent Pepsi 1 says, I try to be the nicest person ever when I get on the plane, not the usual witch I am.
Yeah. A lot of the wives always bring us like treats, which I appreciate. I'm trying to lose weight, so it's not bringing me chocolate. But when we non-rev, and I'm sure she knows what non-revving is, but when we non-rev, on each other's planes, it's customary to bring gifts and niceties and, blah, blah, blah. And yes, I'm the same way. So I totally understand that.
Okay. Hello, Dalek 451. Evening all. Hello, Raymond. And hello to you, Dalek. Let's see. We were delayed 3 hours leaving TIA because of storms in Dallas, and I missed all my connecting flights. Playing catch up was fun. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. People say, when the airline, it's the generic term, right? We're delayed for weather. Everything is weather because we don't pay, refunds for weather, right? Mm-hmm. So everything's weather delays, weather. But it is true though. We're not really lying to you. So when the airline says it's weather and you look outside and it's bright and sunny, it doesn't mean the weather here. It means the weather in San Diego or Alaska or, Maine. And your airplane was coming from somewhere else before it got to you. And before that, it was somewhere else. So the weather may have affected your downline or upline, and you just don't know. So when the airline says weather, it doesn't necessarily mean the weather at your destination or your weather at your, at your departure city. It could be weather in Idaho, but it affected all the air traffic going in and out of that zone or sector or whatever you want to say. Mm-hmm. So when the airlines say weather, it's not your current weather, unless it's obviously raining.
Mm-hmm. But you can depart with rain.
Oh, sure, yeah. But, there's like torrential rains and then there's lightning. If the lightning starts, then the ramps close and the ramp goes to red.
I've been there.
Yes.
I've been there. Actually,
the ramp goes to red because you don't want your poor ramp guys working in lightning storms.
Yeah.
around a medical or a metal induced lightning rod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I almost had a fight in my airplane during a thunderstorm, and they just didn't want to listen to me. I said, calm down.
No, I had a tornado in Myrtle Beach coming down the runway, and we were trying to get the passengers off the flight, right, without telling them that there was a tornado coming because we didn't want panic. But I was in the back of the airplane, and I'm trying to get everybody off the airplane, and people are undoing their car seats, and I'm like, leave the damn things. There's a flipping tornado. And everybody looks out the windows, and they get off the airplane as fast as they can, and then their faces go right up to the windows. Yep.
The
Just
icky
like
windows.
kids.
Yeah. It's always the flight attendant's fault. Plane breaking down, plane late, raining outside, delay getting to the airport. It's all the flight attendant's
It's
fault.
all my fault.
Yeah.
And then we tell the pilots it's their fault.
Yeah.
Yep, we do everything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
She's so right.
Is it easier to transfer to the airline's baggage check-ins or ticket checkers?
Is it easy to transfer to the airline's baggage check-ins? Or I'm not quite sure what the question is asking.
Yeah, let us know what you mean there. I would never expect an attendant to change my diaper. Well,
You'd be surprised what they ask for, sir.
There was a time I was on a flight where they actually brought on in a wheelchair someone who was on death's door. I mean, I guess they were taking him to his family so he could die with his family, but it was just.
You're lucky he didn't die on the airplane. We have that quite a bit lately.
Oh.
So a lot of the Latin culture, they want to die with their family.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to die back on their island. Usually it's Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic. So their family puts them on the airplane, and they'll die because of the altitude and all the stuff with the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
They'll usually die, which is unfortunate, and nobody will say a word until we land. Because if they have to, if they say something early, we could divert. But chances are we're going to keep going anyways to the destination because there's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's happened so many times that these people bring on their older loved ones to go die in their country, but they don't make it.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
Schafschoops is and I know I massacred it, Agent Pepsi one, is a very derogatory term used in Germany for flight attendants.
I just heard the other day air mattress, which is not that new.
I've heard of air waitress.
Yeah,
Air
waitress, but the air mattress, and then there was another one. It'll come to me maybe in the next few minutes, and I'll see if I can remember and get it out. But it was really interesting, the derogatory word I just learned. I wish I could think of what it was right now because it was so funny. I bet my husband would remember.
Dalek
I'll have to think about that.
Dalek 451 said, no offense, but after my last long trip to Australia, I've had enough flying for a lifetime.
None taken.
None taken. Especially coming from Great Britain.
Oh my God. I always wondered what it would be like to fly as a passenger to Australia and then do it as a crew member. But obviously the crew member would have another crew or two on board the aircraft to interchange. Those big airlines have crew quarters, crew rest, crew food, a decent crew resting area.
Mm-hmm.
But I could not imagine being on an airplane for 24 hours. I've seen these big airlines like, over in the Middle East and Asia and all those, they have like bathrooms on the airplanes that you could take showers in now. I mean, they give you pajamas. You get your own office. I mean, it's not flying anymore. That's flying. I mean,
That's a hotel.
I can't imagine being a steward or stewardess on that. The amount of first class behavior you'd have to have for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't have the potty mouth, the accidental slips
Yeah.
and the go to hells,
Yeah. Please tell Erin. Stephen complains about the same thing. He tries never to eat at the airport. It's just so expensive. They do have excellent catering, though, for his flights.
He's so spoiled. He's so lucky. Ugh. I don't know. I think my charter airline, my first airline, we had meals, hot meals, that we would cook in the oven for the passengers, and we would always be able to eat whatever we wanted after that.
Nice.
And some of them were good, and some of them were not. But I do miss the powdered eggs.
Powdered eggs.
Surprisingly, they were so tasty, especially when you don't have anything else to eat. But catering for the flights, spoiled man. We get Pringles, and Memphis has always been violent. Yeah, I heard that. I never knew that. I always thought Memphis would be like a kumbaya city.
Yeah, I lived about an hour north of Memphis, and I enjoyed it. But
did you? I have never been there yet. I can't wait because of the barbecue. I just want to eat there.
Yeah, Beale Street is fun. Going into a jazz club, going into a jazz or blues club.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought it was like a music capital, and how could it be violent? But my husband just did some work up in Arkansas, and he was like an hour from Memphis, and he said, we won't be going there.
Yeah. Stephen was just in Poland, an entire plane filled with DOD cargo. Oh, cool.
Oh. We used to do a lot of DOD runs, but we would run people instead of the cargo.
Oh, okay.
But when I was younger, and it was my first airline, I lived in San Francisco for a short time, and I would have to get on the cargo birds to get home to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember being on one of those cargo birds, and the pilot's telling me, hey, get in my seat real quick. And I said, okay, why? He says, we're going to go to sleep. Tell me if there's traffic. And I literally sat in the pilot's seat with his HUD, his heads up display, looking for traffic. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is traffic? Excuse my language. What is traffic in the air? And then he said, wake us up if there's crossing airplanes. I'll never forget that. It was me and two cargo pilot guys. I'll never forget it. One of my best memories.
Nice. When it comes to flights having to be diverted, storms, weather, passenger, plane technical issues, I guess that adds tremendous pressure on an already stressful job. Yeah.
Yes, it does, for many reasons. Because one, I want to go home too.
Mm-hmm.
People always say the airlines are lying and stuff, and the pilots are lying, the flight attendants are lying about why the weather is why we're diverted and stuff. People don't realize that we have families that we want to go home to. I mean, we're not getting paid for those delays. It's really stressful to have 240 people threatening you. Like, I need to work in the morning. I need to be at my cruise in 12 hours. And then I'd always love to politely say, then you should have planned accordingly.
Yeah.
But you can't say things like that because it just adds fuel to the fire.
Oh,
but by God, if you have a cruise that you need to get to, or you need to get to work, then don't schedule your airplane 12 hours before you have to be somewhere.
True.
Let's not. Come on, people. This is where the common sense plays. You need to plan a travel day or two before you have to be at a special place. I would never travel in on the same day my cruise left.
Oh.
Never.
Oh, head slap. Yeah.
And then people, are yelling at you and telling you and your airline are worth, I'm like, come on, you deserve to miss your cruise. I know that's mean, but.
Snortapoopus asks, how many of the flight attendants have to be bilingual on an overseas flight?
Not on my airline. We're a United States carrier. We speak English. It is the carrier's choice if they want to have any bilingual speakers. They did pay for the bilingual speakers at first, but then they decided that they would hire a various amount of those different cultures and backgrounds, and that they wouldn't pay them anymore. And that how could they figured the person that they were hiring, if their first language was Spanish, that they would speak Spanish. They figured right in some cases and figured wrong in other cases. Some people will not speak Spanish unless they're paid to. But if it's your first language, you sort of revert back to it all the time. So they got away with doing that. But we play our announcements in English, and we do a courtesy Spanish one. But even when we go to the foreign Spanish countries, we're not required to do a Spanish announcement because we are a United States flag carrier.
Okay. And the books, and actually, if I remember right, your manuals have transliteration anyway.
They did. We do not have any anymore.
Oh, okay.
Our airplanes now speak, like we have automated announcements now, if they work. Sometimes they don't work. So, but we do have English and Spanish. And like I said, if you're flying with somebody who's Spanish, they're likely going to translate for me, which I hate asking. But I've picked up Spanish over the years. Okay. I know if somebody's sick or needs a Coke. I know the difference.
All right.
Not by much, but.
How many changes to the uniforms have you seen many changes to the uniforms you must wear? Which they would change or add other than armor? Okay,
so my airline has gone through some uniform changes. Other airlines have gone through uniform changes. Some airlines pay big designers, right, to come in and design their uniforms. Not mine. But, I think, other than that armor we were talking about, right? I think that the airline travel has gotten not glamorous anymore, right? We talked about it not being glamorous anymore. I think it needs to be more practical. Right now I'm in like polyester pants, and I have a button-down shirt that doesn't wash well, and you have to iron it. I think we should be in like khaki pants, like the Southwest, like perpetual Southwest look.
Yeah.
Where you got khaki pants and a polo with sneakers. Forget those high heels.
Yeah.
I'm in my 40s. Those high heels are out. So I just think it should be a more played down uniform. But then the airline thinks that if you have a played down uniform, then it doesn't command enough respect. We don't get the respect anymore with the uniform or without the uniform. So the uniform makes no difference. I think we should have a played down uniform for practicality. Plus the weather is so freaking hot in polyester. And these formal get-ups, I don't think it means a difference anymore. Do you think it would make a difference for you seeing a flight attendant in khakis versus a blazer and pantyhose?
No, as long as they can do the job.
3 inches of heels. I mean,
yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
My authority is still my authority, and my training is still my training. I just think we should look the way our passengers look, sort of, kind of.
Oh, I've seen. I've seen.
And if you knew my airline, you'd laugh at that comment.
Yeah. Yes, Agent
Yeah.
Pepsi one. You were right.
Yep. Let's roll. Exactly. That's what I don't understand. Like, did they know? Were they doing the right thing? With anything in life, you don't know if you're doing the right thing.
Yep. Is Erin talking about me? Mm-hmm. Duct tape and a ball gag. Handcuffs and ankle restraints would be nice too. Yeah?
I've seen those.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely duct tape.
Yeah.
I did carry duct tape in my bag for quite a while. It was for other purposes, but I really did think about putting some duct tape around.
Erin to the passenger. Yes, beep, White. You're going to die. Quite right. Now deal with it.
She knows me.
Yeah. She's also a teacher, so she...
Oh my God, yeah, the teacher, that's almost the same combatant pay. I mean, going to a school now, my God, you could be murdered in your school.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? I mean, it's crazy.
Yep.
I just was talking to my husband about my kids going to school. Maybe we should homeschool. I don't want to be with them all day. Thank you for teaching.
Yeah. Let's see. Yes, the lavatory, especially if you're a girl, yes, you have to sit. Boys can at least aim.
Yes. And another thing, when I said the dirtiest places on the airplane, do not ever use the toilet paper. Don't ever wipe your butt or your pee-pee with toilet paper. You got to use the tissues. The toilet paper sometimes gets thrown on the floor where all the urine is.
Ugh.
Or it lands in the toilet on takeoff and somebody just puts it back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd rather drip dry than to use toilet paper on an airplane.
Words of advice.
Yes, live by them. Use the tissues.
Yes. I remember flying into Reagan, the airport, not
Yes.
the president, in late 2001. They were quite adamant about us not leaving our seats during the final half hour of the approach.
I remember that well. Maybe it was on my own air. Maybe you were on my airline. I remember that well. It was in absolutely mandatory that you remain seated in and out of Reagan for the first 30 minutes, or I think it was the first hour. We had to be vigilant. Then it was like the first 45 minutes we had to do something else. And then you're right, 30 minutes, not a person moved. I mean, a person raised their hand. We were like on guard. I remember.
Yep. Hello, Sean Carter. Let's see. Agent Pepsi 1 says, I knew what I was getting into when I married a pilot. Besides, my father was a pilot too. Things I not only learned as a wife, but also growing up.
Well, like you said, or like everybody says, you marry, what your father, it's obvious that you would have married a pilot, right?
Yeah.
That's why you grew up. I mean, that's the way you grew up. That's what you know. I could have sworn I would have married a pilot. I have dated so many. I just can't even tell you how many, but it's so many. And I thought I for sure would have ended up with a pilot because it was so easy. But the best thing I did was not marry a pilot because he keeps me grounded in other ways outside of the airline.
That's good. Okay, Legatus, and I did see this question earlier. Working on a regional charter airline, are you also part of the AFA
Yes.
CWA? And
I am AFA CWA.
And is it easy to move from one airline to the other?
Always easy if you want to go through the training. Every airline has their own training. and then you start at the very bottom. So my 24 years here, which let's say, I'll tell you in perspective, we have like in Fort Lauderdale, where I'm based right now, there might be 1,500 flight attendants, I think, in my base alone. And I'm number 20. Just in my base, right? And company-wide, I think I'm 100 right now. And I don't know what we've grown to now, but we're, in the thousands. I mean, that, it started, I think there were like 300 of us at the beginning, and now we're way into the thousands, Mm-hmm. But I'm like 100. So my seniority is everything in the airline business.
Oh, yeah.
So if I wanted to jump ship and say go to another airline, I had to have to start at the very bottom and work my way up again. And it doesn't sound appealing to me, not in the least bit.
No, as high as you are, you probably can. You probably
no, it wouldn't be economically worth it, mentally worth it, physically, it just wouldn't. But for somebody who, say, just started, yeah, you can always jump ship and go somewhere else. Like, I always encourage the people that are going to make it a career and they're young. If they don't want to stay with a regional and they want to travel the world and they want to go to a major, their life will be a major airline. I mean, they'll eat, sleep, and breathe on reserve and, that kind of a life. With the regionals and the smaller low-cost airlines, there's life beyond work. We have more time off. We have, not long, our trips are not as long and labored. And it's just, we have a better, we say, quality of life. Okay. But the unions do help. God, I'm not a union person myself, my personal life. I wouldn't choose to become a union member. However, with the airlines, you have to be a union member and you need it. You need it because, like I said, those schedulers and the scheduling, yeah. I mean, you got to know your union rights and your laws because the company will take advantage of you any which way they can.
Yep. Weather. That is why I don't fly with American Airlines. I have had the worst luck with them.
I think some people they have one airline that they have the worst luck with. A lot of people say it's my airline. I happen to say it's some other airline. Mm-hmm. I just think there's one airline that's somebody else's problem. But yes, weather is just what it is.
And Pudgy Hedgehog Adventures, our hard-hitting cookie reporter, says, question, what is your non-peanut favorite goodie on board the airplane? Oh.
Wow, that's a good question. We have peanut M&Ms, so that's a hard one, but non-peanut. Oh. Let's see. Okay, I got this. The cup of noodle soup.
The cup of noodle soup?
Yep, the ramen noodles. We sell ramen noodles.
Oh, wow.
So we were selling chicken-flavored ramen noodles for the longest time, for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. Come to find out that customs and immigration won't let us carry the chicken-flavored ramen anymore.
Oh.
Yes. Can you believe that?
Oh, man.
So we've had to switch to the spicy Asian cup of noodles.
Mm.
But I tell you, Raymond, no less, you pop one of those suckers open, pour the hot water into it, and then 10 seconds later, the whole airplane smells it. And it's ding, 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 ding.
I want
ding,
one.
Ding, 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 ding. Everybody wants a cup of noodles. It's one of those things because it smells incredible on the airplane because it's the only thing that you can smell.
Mm-hmm.
It's a captive audience. Everybody can smell it. It even makes me want to drink a whole cup. But I read the back of it, so I don't want it anymore. But it is addictive and it spreads like wildfire.
Oh, wow. Wow.
You wouldn't, right? A cup of noodle soup? It's the best thing on the airplane because it's got all that salt that you crave.
Mm-hmm.
Top that peanut M&Ms.
Let's see. My trip to New Zealand was done on American and Qantas.
I'd like to see Qantas.
We would appreciate this because we both detest LaGuardia.
I have to go there day after tomorrow for a training flight. I'm dreading it. I have anxiety. I live under the I've seen people's faces.
I live under the LaGuardia flight path. I could see people's faces in the windows looking out as they make the final approach. So I painted a giant phallus on the roof of my building to welcome them to New York.
Did he really do that? Because I'm going to look in 2 days. I'm seriously going to look.
She's going to look, Admiral. Let us know.
If he really did that, that would be so funny.
Take a picture of it.
Oh my gosh, that would be so funny. And that would be funny. Yeah. LaGuardia is a nerve-wracking landing, as you know. Mm-hmm. The ramp or the runway is like 6,000 feet, which is nothing.
Yeah.
For a big airplane. And surrounded by, water.
Mm-hmm. Water.
And every time I go into New York, I think about the US Air Hudson flight.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't believe how people survived it without a bruise. It's just amazing to me.
Dalek says, not to mention airports are not exactly the best places to be kept waiting for hours. So boring.
That's why some of these airports that I've been to, some of them are like indoor malls. I mean, I think I was in St. Louis. That was like a great place to be stuck. I can't name it anymore right now, but some of them are amazing. Like, you could get lost all day wandering around these malls. There was one that was literally a mall attached to it. Shopping galore. I mean, I was like, this can't be an airport. It looked like a mall. I can't remember where it was. But it had the best Dunkin' or the best Starbucks I ever had there.
Admiral Teague says, is there a more depressing place than the smoking lounge in the Atlanta airport, or is that actually hell's waiting room, like I think?
That's funny because when I was a smoker, I know exactly where that was. And the same one in Las Vegas. The smoking. You got to go in there and smoke like a... And then, walk out. And when you walk out, you are just covered in that... That's why, actually, one of the reasons I quit smoking, because of those lounges at the airport. You couldn't just go in and, have a nice cigarette. You had to go in and, puff it like it was your last. And then you come out stinking like crazy. I remember the one in Atlanta, for sure. And the one, of course, in Vegas.
Oh, yes.
Tampa had a nice smoking lounge because you could actually walk on, an outdoor gated thing in between the terminals, so it's like you're outside but like in a prison cell.
Erin was thinking about transferring out of being an active flight attendant, so instead of being a flight attendant instructor, could Erin work at some other aspect of the airline?
Sure, but other than training, there's nothing else that I would like to do. Like, gate agents are like a moving target. That would be the worst job in my... I just couldn't imagine being a gate agent. They take so much abuse. I don't know how they do it. And for the little pay they get. And they're not union members, most of them. So I don't know what I would do for that. I mean, that's terrible to me. I think training would be the only thing that I'd be interested in doing. Unless I became a pilot, and my years of becoming a pilot are nearing the end. I'm too old.
Yeah, well, the 60...
65 is now the retirement age, but
65.
and I know that they would like to increase it
Shortage.
because of the shortage, and they're also reducing the hours that are needed to become a pilot, which then again is scary because you have some inexperienced kids flying your airplane.
Yep.
Because of the airline shortage and the pilot shortage, so it's scary.
Yeah.
You know, the airplanes can only train you so much. You got to have some training and like you know, back when your Pepsi lady, what she was saying, her dad's a pilot. You know, her dad went through the ranks. You know, he started flying probably as a young person, whatever, and you know, flew cargo and flew pilot jumping, you know, little hops here and there, and flew little planes and bigger planes and bigger planes and bigger planes and bigger planes until he got to the big jet. Now the kids, the pilots, they go to pilot training where they get their license and they're flying a jet the next day. I'm not kidding. It's just like that. So you could go to school, I could go to pilot school and fly a jet probably within the same year, if not the next year. It's just the way it is. You need 1,500 hours.
1,500.
Yeah, 1,500 hours. And they want to lower it?
Nah.
My butt can't handle it. Those landings are getting harder and harder.
True. Let's see. Pepsi 1 applied for Delta as a flight attendant, didn't get the position, which was in the end a blessing.
Nobody gets hired with Delta. Well, back then, nobody gets hired with Delta. That was like the snobbiest, elitist of elites. You know, those were the old ladies that never die. The airline was not union. They treated their employees pretty well, obviously, because they weren't union. They were paid pretty well. I mean, that was those majors are hard to get into. You know, your best bet is getting into a regional, getting your, you know, experience and then moving on if you have to or want to.
Silliest question of the night. How do flight attendants feel about the movie Airplane? Funny or too close to home?
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, the smacking and all that stuff, it's perfect. That's how I feel about it all day long. You just want to smack them.
Soft shupsa means pusher of juices, but so mean.
If I could say it or repeat it, I probably would. I can't even. Aisle donkey. Oh, it just came to me. Aisle donkey.
Aisle donkey. Oh man.
That's a new. I was recently called an aisle donkey. See, I knew it would come to me.
I had the opportunity to fly first class on Lufthansa once from Houston to Frankfurt. 8 seats on the upper deck of a 747 with 2 assigned flight attendants. I was surprised so many passengers dressed like slobs. We're not.
I tell you, I mean, there's no class anymore. There's no first class. There's no second class. There's no class.
Yeah.
There's just no class. That's why I said, why do I have to dress up if you don't?
Yeah.
Used to be glamorous, like, you know, suit and ties and dresses and stuff and uniforms and blah, blah, blah. Nah, not anymore.
Okay, let's see. Looking for any more questions. Here's a good one from Dalek451. How many different kinds of planes have you flown on?
Flown on? I couldn't tell you. I'm sure, you know, different kinds of planes. Let's see, 727, 737s, A320 series. So A319s, A320s, A321s, DC-10s, DC-9s, MD-80s, and I think that's it.
Okay.
So quite a bit.
Yeah. All right. So true. But not like most of the passengers. When I flew first class, I wore a burgundy skirt suit, hose, stiletto pumps. Most of the fellow passengers dressed like slobs and frumps.
It's so true. It's so true. And especially being a family of pilots and flight attendants and stuff like that, you know how to dress. But nobody else will come on like that anymore. It's so sad.
Yeah. Okay. Snort says, flying into Reagan is like threading a needle with the sewing machine running. Yep.
I remember that arrival because it was like you had to like do this. You had to follow the river arrival, and it was like foof, foof, foof.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, you can't get in unless you got the super secret handshake and the magic passwords. And,
I guess so.
Mm-hmm. I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming. Have you had to deal with the so-called thrill seekers? Have you had to deal with any couples wanting to join the Mile High Club or other Voyager risque business?
I was surprised it took this long to get that question. What do you think the answer is? Yes.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's one of the reasons we don't carry blankets anymore.
Yeah.
People doing things under their blankets.
There was this couple that asked me about the Mile High Club. I said, oh yeah, we do it. But you have to have a flight attendant witness the action in order to certify you.
That's a good one. You know, I will use that one again.
I got called a pervert.
Yep, I bet that would work. Now, I can't say that I haven't done that myself. I have. You know, I think everybody has to join sometimes if you're in there. But it's really common. But then I think to myself, the bathrooms have gotten so bad because people literally don't pee in the toilets anymore. They just pee on the floor. Why would you even want to anymore? You know.
Snorter Poopa says, just thinking about trying snoo in an airliner loo makes my back hurt. Yeah.
He's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A lot of, contorting.
Mm-hmm.
They're not very big.
No. Okay. I don't know anything about airlines, but I have to give Frontier props for having polar bears on their tails.
Yeah, they're cute. Mm-hmm. I like their tails too.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. LaGuardia is #1, the best as ever. What have you? No.
Delusional.
Yes. I want to make sure they feel appropriately welcomed. She's going to look for that.
I can't wait.
All right. Well, guys, this has been amazing. I think
so much fun.
Yes, it was absolutely fantastic. You guys are the best. Steven still wants to retire at 60, but I know he won't. Flying with my husband, I have done it twice as scary, especially in a small plane.
I know. I don't even like my husband driving the car. Imagine him flying a plane. Sorry, husband.
Okay. Let's see. Admiral T has one, and we'll take a couple more. JetBlue flight attendant Steven Slater. Great rage quit or greatest rage quit?
I actually have his book. and I meant to read it, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But he does have a book out, and so I think about it on those tough flights where we're stuck on the ramp waiting or delayed, on how he did it, and I think, wow, dude, he had some guts. He had some real guts. I think.
Was he the one? Was he the one who popped the slide?
Yes, and took and quit with a beer
I remember.
and
that
slid down the slide. I have been so close, but I would never do it, right? But you know, in your head, you're like, I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it right now. I got to get out of here because it's this big of an area. I don't blame him one bit. Can you only imagine if he was a flight attendant in these days? He did it. I mean, I don't know what his reason was back then, but he would have never made it through these days.
No, probably never even made it into the cabin.
Oh, I can't even imagine what his. I want to read his book though.
Dalek 451 says, I was excited to be flying such big planes both times. When I first boarded the A380, I walked up past the staircase, looked up and saw a fountain at the top of the stairs. How is that for class?
Classy.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen the 380 yet. I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to get a grand tour of all these airplanes. You know, like somebody come and say, you ever see that on Facebook? There's a girl, a supercar blondie. She does all those like rare supercars and she tours them. I would like somebody to invite me to tour airplanes.
That would be cool. Admiral Teague says, does it still count as Mile High Club if I only have sex with myself in the bathroom?
I'll give it to you.
Oh, okay.
I'll give it to you.
All right. Okay. And yes, it is. Take care, Agent Pepsi One. This was fun.
Yeah, you too. It was a good night.
Yep. All right. So,
It is dinner time. I'm hungry.
yes, we are going to we're going to do show notes and start wrapping this up. I'm so glad. Oh, what was that, Dalek? Which one was it? Hold on. Is it the one about the class? Oh, okay. Is it this one? I flew with Qantas when we went to Australia for the first time on board a 747. For the last time we flew with Emirates on board a A380. Okay. I've been on a 747. I've been on a 747.
I've been on a 747. They're phasing them out now because they're staying with the 777s as their go-to air, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But a 380, I'd love to see a 380.
Yeah. But the problem with my 747 was it was a charter for military, so they packed it to the gills.
Oh, yeah.
And just before we were supposed to board, fuel came gushing out of the wing. So it's like, oh. So we had to spend the night till they fixed it.
Well, that's not the worst thing in the world, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. All right. So I hope that was the comment, Dalek. So we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to do... Wait a minute, I got to prepare for it. Okay. Yes, it is time, Pudgy, for show notes. And welcome to show notes, Erin.
Thank you.
It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. With Mr. Raymond and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. Dun, dun.
Dun. Now you have officially in your
Indoctrinated.
Indoctrinated, yes. All right. Show notes. We've got coming up this Saturday, we're going to be talking about muscle cars and dream cars as our Just Cuz episode. A week from today, Sean Carter will be coming in with his models. Looking forward to that. On the 20th, we're going to have Scotty R37 come on and talk about his channel. And on the 27th, I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. Just remember that every Saturday night, unless I'm on an away mission, we will have Just Cuz, the place where madness ensues. The kitty table is full of eclairs, and the slap shot table is full of vegetables. So make sure you bring your A game for jokes. So look forward to that. Let me say thank you to the people in the chat who've had great questions. Admiral Teague, and yes, she's going to be looking for that. She's going to look for that sign. Agent Pepsi 1, tell Stephen hi, and great conversation, great questions. Cobalt Bald Eagle, thank you very much. Disney Sheep Herder, thank you for being there. We had Matt G. There. We had Scotty R37, which we'll see soon. And Sean Carter. Thank you for being there. And was Phantom Outsider here? I don't know, but if he was, Phantom Outsider was here. Let's see. And then my amazing wrench team. Who I can't do this show without you guys. Sandra, the producer, who popped in, but then headed out. We had Wendy Webb, Trauma Warrior, who was working and lurking. Anti-Derivative Jill was here. Thank you, dear, for being here. $451, thank you very much for being here and talking about your adventures in flight. And I'm glad I got that last comment. Legatus Legionai, great questions. Always with the first in, last out, and always the good comments. We had Pudgy Hedgehog, our hard-hitting cookie and snack reporter, who says, "Bye, everyone. Great show, Mr. Raymond." Well, thank you, Pudgy. Thank you very much. And now, to give it a proper farewell, Slaughter Poopas! Cuber, the hardest working bear on the internet. Great show. So, everybody, Erin, thank you very much. This was a great show.
My pleasure.
We'll help to have you back on. Please
and long time no see.
Yes, long time no see. Oh my God, it was a long time no see.
But it feels like it was just yesterday now.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It was quite enjoyable hanging out with you again. And
thanks for the invite.
Yep, and please come on anytime and enjoy the fun. I know your schedule probably isn't conducive to it, but
we'll visit.
Yeah, we will. Snorter Poopa says, take care of the human, dolphin, doggo, eagle, hedgehog, ferret, and turkey buzzard. So, everybody, see you Saturday. Be safe. Enjoy the rest of the week. And we'll see you soon.
This segment is brought to you by TheDolphinBoys.com.